Hello, new week, Monday. Start with Anatoly Kaletsky, who's a bright bunny, works for iNet and normally writes some good stuff. And this is interesting. Economic optimism now official. The article starts. Economic optimism is now official. The year ahead could be... Bernanke. The year ahead could be... a very good one for the American economy. Ben Bernanke, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, declared on Tuesday. If he turns out to be right, these words could probably be applied to the world economy as a whole. Since Bernanke, even more than other central bankers, has spent the past 4 years warning of perils such as the fiscal cliff and the dismal condition of the US labour market, this statement, delivered in the carefully worded peroration of a speech to the prestigious Economic Club of New York, marks an important turning point. Not because Bernanke has a crystal ball that offers him economic clairvoyance, but because his views have an enormous impact on business and financial sentiment around the world. And sentiment, especially about government policies, is the biggest problem for the world economy today. This is confidence fairy stuff. In terms of objective economic and financial conditions, the end of this year looks like a turning point in the slow recovery from the global financial crisis. Outside the Eurozone, which now accounts for only just 17% of global output and will shrink to 9% by 2060, according to the OECD, economic statistics are clearly improving. We've got to know these things. Right, let's move on. This calculated risk, quoting Nomura. As an example from Nomura Analyst Today, we believe real GDP growth, this is the United States of America, will be revised significantly upwards to an annualized pace of 3% versus the originally reported 2%, supported by greater inventory build and better net trade statistics than previously estimated. So this will be the Q3 print, which I think this one will come out this week, Thursday, I think. And if that comes out at 3%, that's blah plus, a good solid blah plus. But there's a problem that comes with it, that this isn't now the time that Washington are talking about the fiscal cliff. And if they get all overconfident that everything's coming up roses, they're likely to do something stupid and say, well, we don't need extra taxes now, or I don't know what they'll do. But if they think everything's coming up roses, well, what would they might raise taxes and say the economy can afford it now. You never know with Washington, though. But it should be known that there are vibes out there that say that the worst is over and 2013 is going to be the turning point where everything gets back to normal. I don't think so. This is a market chart, the people that give us these PMIs, of global business confidence going back to 2009. And, it had come back up just about then, but it's still in contractory territory. You see 50 is right the top line. It's always negative. And this is global business confidence. So it's 46. Into 2010, it takes a bit of what looked like it was going to be a double dip, but never quite went down. 2011 come up again, and then another double dip and never quite got there. Up to the start of 2012, we're getting better. But the last three have been going down and down again, and that's world business confidence. So not everyone's on the confident side. I tend to believe that a lot of people that believe so much in the confidence fairy are on the pump at the moment, following Bernanke, and everyone's going to go cheerleading, saying come on, rah rah, let's go, everything's fine. Because a lot is based in the human mind, as we've talked of so many times. But I don't think the common human mind is going to believe what the rah-rah merchants say. The pump monkeys. Right, what have we got next? An article from this morning's Financial Times that I thought I'd throw in, because there are a lot of Americans that are... two things. They're not really knowing what's going on in America or the rest of the world. And the other thing is they rarely do know what's going on in the rest of the world. It's a very insular place, the United States, isn't it? They think that everything revolves around the United States. Anyway, let's give you these couple of paragraphs from the FT. A big chunk of America's domestic flying. This is about America and how it should come into the 21st century, where quite a few countries have got to. A big chunk of America's domestic flying woes could be solved by building NextGen, which would switch the US from its Second World War radar network to a satellite-based flight tracking system. The existing arrangement is built on a hub-and-spoke model, whereby airlines route traffic? I don't know. All traffic via regional headquarters. Any seize-up in the hub can have a knock-on effect on the entire schedule. NextGen would make flying safer and hub and spokes unnecessary. But Congress has little stomach for the bill, which would come in at least $25 billion. Second, and there's a list of these things, most Americans are unaware of how far behind the rest of the world their country has fallen. According to the World Economic Forum's Competitiveness Report, US infrastructure ranks below 20th in most of the 9 categories and below 30 for quality of air transport and electricity supply. The US gave birth to the Internet, the kind of decentralized network that the US power grid desperately needs. Yet according to the OECD club of mostly rich nations, average US internet speeds are barely a tenth of those in countries such as South Korea and Germany. And that's not their intent. US is in 10th position with Germany and Korea further up. That US internet speeds are a tenth of, on average, South Korea and Germany. In an age where the global IT superhighway is no longer a slogan, this is no joke. The budding US entrepreneur can survive gridlocked traffic, but a slow internet can be crippling. And there's more there, and I think the comments will come in. It's just not a young, vibrant country anymore compared to other young, vibrant countries. The United States is not. This is what I wanted to finish with, because I've noted in comments talk of US small businesses. This is the NFIB Small Business Optimism Index from the NFIB, going back to 1975. So we've got a good grab of this, where it was low in 75 coming out of the recession, and took another dive down in 79, 80 and 81 with the interest rates going up and down with Volcker and all that sort of stuff. Then they got optimistic when it looked like Volcker had got on top of it, and then there was years of calm, all wrapped around that 100 base index value, with a couple of sticks down for recessions. Strangely, there was a lot of optimism after the dot-com crash, where optimism goes up through 03 to 04, but at the end of 04 the business optimism starts coming down, and it's below the zero mark in 07, 06, 07, and obviously really crashes down to 09, and it hasn't got itself back up again. Basically, this is what I'm showing with this chart. It's crawling its way back, it's going in the right direction, but it is still only at about 93, where for a couple of decades in the middle of that chart it was wrapped around 100. And we know the small businesses are the employers and are at least half of the economy. So that's the big question. Are the pump monkeys going to be right, or are they just pumping? And really, the world economy is more like Europe. It's hard to know, obviously, but I tend to think that the world economy is slowing, and one blip up in the US Q3 GDP print is not a summer making, but it could make for some great stupidity in Washington. See ya. Bye.